Hello, I'm Dr. Eric Bregg, a medical professional dedicated to providing evidence-based care and supporting patients in achieving better health and long-term well-being. Look, I'm 60 years old, and it took me 3 whole decades of blood, sweat, tears, and brutal trial and error to finally crack the code I am about to hand you on a silver platter. I am about to rip open 7 of the stupidest, most painful, most soul-crushing mistakes I ever made with my own body, my own health, and my own money. And honestly, I wish somebody had grabbed me by the collar and slapped some sense into me back then, because it would have saved me years of flat-out misery. Back in the day when I was blowing it, good luck trying to tell me otherwise. I was walking around with this arrogant little crown on my head, thinking I had it all figured out, and I absolutely did not want to hear a single word of correction. So my one desperate prayer for you right now, today, this very minute, is that you are actually open, actually listening, because if you are, what I am about to share can quietly, peacefully, permanently save you from years and years of dragging yourself through the dirt. I honestly do not know if I am just some kind of glutton for punishment or what, but the truth is I have been through some seriously ugly health battles in my past. And you know what the wild part is? On one hand, I can actually sit across from you and truly relate to almost everybody who walks into my world. Why? Because I have personally suffered through nearly every single rotten symptom my patients complain about. Now, is that a good thing? Heck no, but it is what it is. And because of it, I get to sit here and speak from scars, not from textbooks. So enough chit chat. Let's dive headfirst into the 7 massive faceplants I made and exactly, precisely, step by step, what I should have done instead. Mistake number 1, the vitamin mountain. There was a stretch of my life where I was swallowing well over 100 vitamins a day. I am not joking. I am talking whole bottles. I am talking aisles. I would be cruising down the road with my wife, lost in a fog of exhaustion, and I'd turn to her and say, "Honey, pull over at that little health food shop. Maybe they have something that can put some life back into me." We would walk in hopeless and walk out with armfuls of bottles. I literally had a warehouse, a whole room stacked to the ceiling with bottles of hope, and I was swimming in a soup of chronic fatigue that never quit, brutal insomnia that stole my nights, and arthritis that made my joints scream every time I tried to move. And I was hunting, desperately hunting, for that one magic vitamin that was going to flip the switch and give me my life back. And the cycle repeated. Again and again and again and again, because I had a deep, stubborn horror of taking any kind of drug. I wanted the natural route. I wanted the holy herb. But here's the dirty little secret I didn't get until way later. Those vitamins work only when your underlying diet is clean. Mine was garbage, hot garbage. I was starving my cells of the big 3, the macronutrients, fats, protein, and carbs. I was running this rigid vegan experiment trying to suck every last drop of protein out of plants, and oh my goodness gracious, did I pay for it. I could not feel full. I could not feel satisfied. I could not feel alive. What I should have done, and what I beg you to do starting tomorrow morning, is anchor your day with animal protein. Wake up and eat the steak, eat the eggs, eat the sardines, because protein is the building block. Your body is built from it. A huge chunk of you is literally protein, and you have to replace it daily. Yes, some of it fuels energy, but your real energy, your clean, steady, lasting energy, comes from fats and from smart carbs, not from sugar bombs. So if I could hop in a time machine and whisper in my own ear, I would scream, "Fatty animal meat, my friend. Fatty animal meat." Mistake number 2, the detox circus. Detox was the darling of every magazine and every influencer when I was young and dumb, and people were flushing. But what they did not tell you, and what I did not know, is that along with the bad stuff, you were also blasting out the good bacteria, the friendly little microscopic warriors that keep your gut thriving. And on top of that, you were draining critical electrolytes right out of your body, which can flat out wreck your heart and your muscles. You were basically starving yourself with a side of fiber, a splash of apple juice, and a few cute little vitamins. And here is the painful part. Had I just skipped that sweet apple juice, my body could have flipped into ketosis, and I probably could have cruised through the whole thing feeling sharp instead of shattered. But no. Juice plus cleanse equals disaster. I did the famous master cleanse, the lemon juice, cayenne pepper, maple syrup cocktail. Yep, done it. Bad call, because the sugar keeps your body glued to glucose mode, so you never ever flip the switch into fat burning. You stay hungry, you stay miserable, and afterwards I was left with a gut that felt like it had been through a war zone, but it did not stop with colon cleanses. Oh no, I also dove deep into herbal detoxes. And I kid you not, I lost count of how many times those powerful herbs unleashed such a violent wave of junk from my tissues that my immune system panicked and I ended up flat on my back in bed, sick as a dog, for 2 solid weeks. One memory I will never shake. I decided to do a gallbladder flush. I drank a full 12 ounces of straight extra virgin olive oil. And because I am a genius, right before that, I swallowed a fistful of beet pills, thinking I would just wash them down with the oil. Stupid. Mega stupid. I had a mouthful of sticky beet powder and a gut full of thick oil, and that oil literally solidified right there in my esophagus. I genuinely thought I was going to die. Choking, panic, the whole 9 yards. And then to top it all off, the protocol says you have to lie on your right side for a stretch of time. Yeah, I did that too. I have done every wacky protocol under the sun. And looking back, it was an absolute, total, embarrassing waste of time. What I should have done instead, and what would have changed my entire trajectory, was simply get on the right eating plan, throw in a few smart supplements, but the foundation, the non-negotiable foundation, was animal protein, vegetables, a scoop of probiotics, a little cheese. That combo alone would have unstuck almost every problem I was dragging around. Mistake number 3, the infamous, I'll eat healthy when I graduate. I was deep in college, scraping by, and I was running on cheap carbs and rocket fuel coffee. And honestly, if I could rewind the tape, eating healthy would not have even cost me much. A few eggs here, a tin of sardines there, nothing fancy, but oh my stars, my brain would have fired on all cylinders. I would not have been this foggy, dragging zombie walking through lectures trying to study against this gigantic wave of exhaustion that kept slamming into me. I had to nap. I had to collapse. And the dirty secret behind it all was wild blood sugar swings that I had absolutely no clue about. And the most painful punchline of all, the second I graduated, did I finally eat healthy? Heck no. I dove headfirst into a vegan adventure, thinking I was saving the world with mountains of beans and what I thought was clean protein. Wrong. Catastrophically wrong. My gut swelled up like a balloon, the inflammation spread like wildfire, and I went downhill faster than a sled on ice. Until eventually, finally, mercifully, I stumbled into the healthy version of the ketogenic diet and my entire health flipped on a dime. That was my real game changer. If I had only known about that back in my college dorm, everything would have been different. So please, please, please do not sit around waiting to fix your future self. Do not become an old fool like me and then scramble to repair the damage. Things always, always, always catch up. Might as well right the ship right now while you are young enough to enjoy it. Mistake number 4, the right shoulder that almost ate my brain. This one is fascinating. I had this stubborn, loud, persistent delusion that my right shoulder was broken or pinched or misaligned in some catastrophic way. So I marched myself into every chiropractor's office, every massage studio, every therapist's room on the planet. I kept getting cracked, poked, rubbed, stretched, twisted, and underneath my right rib cage, I carried this constant ironclad band of tightness, 24/7, tight as a drum, and I had no earthly clue what it was. Here is the truth bomb. Right shoulder pain is almost always a giant red flashing warning light screaming that your gallbladder, your bile ducts, and your liver are screaming back at you. I eventually walked into a couple of well-meaning doctors after a nasty ulcer episode, and they just stared at me sideways with this blank, clueless look on their faces, essentially saying, "Yeah, buddy, we got nothing for you." My bile had turned into thick, sluggish sludge, and that sludge created a wall of tightness running through that whole region, and that tightness kept poking pain right up into my right shoulder like a laser. The takeaway here is brutally simple. Look in the mirror and ask yourself one honest question. Are you hunting down the actual cause, or are you just slapping band-aids on the loud symptom? That is the lesson. Mistake number 5. Intermittent fasting. The miracle I tried to ignore. Someone brought up intermittent fasting to me years ago, and I brushed it off like a mosquito. Nothing to it, I said. Total hype. Until I actually tried it, and until I zoomed out and looked at it through the eyes of our ancient ancestors, the rugged hunters and gatherers who absolutely did not pump food into their bodies every 2 hours on the dot. Every single time you eat, your insulin spikes. Every single time. The constant, relentless snacking and grazing is the silent assassin of modern health. It is way, way, way more damaging than you ever imagined. The late night snacking, the couch potato munching, we are a culture of professional grazers, and our poor bodies were never, ever, ever designed to live like cows in a pasture. The moment I gave up the snacking cold turkey, 2 miracles happened at the same time. First, the scale dove from a whopping 211 pounds all the way down to a lean 185. Second, the puffiness that had been ballooning my eyes for years quietly, peacefully vanished. Because that puffiness was not allergies. It was not aging. It was straight up insulin-driven fluid retention. That round, puffy face so many people hate in the mirror. 9 times out of 10, it is just insulin and carbs doing their nasty dance. Intermittent fasting absolutely flipped my world. I recommend it for everyone, full stop. The average human ought to be eating just 2 meals a day. Some tough cookies should only be eating 1. Because the second you stack 3, 4, 5 meals a day on top of each other, all you are doing is jackhammering your insulin up, up, up. And here is the sick twist. You think you are craving food, you think you are starving, but 90% of the time it is not hunger at all. It is just crashing blood sugar because your body is locked into glucose mode and it can only hang on for maybe an hour and a half before it starts screaming for more. You stay trapped in this hamster wheel of fueling your body with sugar, never ever letting it flip into beautiful, clean, fat, burning ketosis. That whole system is engineered to let you glide from one meal to the next without a single growl in your stomach. Try it. Trust it. Mistake number 6, the glorious kale shake trap. I am not ashamed to admit I still have tons of videos floating around the internet showing me guzzling massive kale shakes. They are not evil. They are fine. But I was doing way, way, way too many of them. I was locked in this rigid mindset that I had to flood my body with mountains of fiber from morning to night. And for a while, I got away with it. I felt okay. But I watched so many people around me bloat up like balloons and light up with gut inflammation because I had loaded them with fiber bomb after fiber bomb, particularly from those heavy kale shakes. If I could rewind the clock, I would have started them out with tiny doses and patiently watched how their bodies reacted before cranking things up. The sneaky problem with kale is that it tastes like dirt. So to make it drinkable, you have to throw in a fistful of pineapple, a pile of blueberries, and now you have quietly, accidentally loaded up your smoothie with a mountain of extra carbs. Not exactly the health move most people think it is. Now, do not twist my words. I am not against plants. I am not against blending plants. I think most folks can handle a moderate amount. Some need tiny amounts. I personally do not sit there chewing my way through 10 massive cups of raw salad anymore. I do not recommend it. These days, I keep it clean and simple. About 5 cups, 1 time a day, and sometimes I switch that out for a generous scoop of fermented sauerkraut, which my gut absolutely worships. Every now and then, I will still whip up a tiny kale shake, but it is small, and if I add anything, it is just a sprinkle of blueberries. I am super cautious about loading up on fruit, especially the sweet, sugary pineapple. And one big rule, never, ever, ever make a sweet little carb-loaded kale shake your breakfast. If you are going to break your fast, break it with protein, with fat, with fuel that lasts, not with a sweet little juice that is going to light up cravings and hunger the rest of the day. Mistake number 7, the sneaky magnesium deficiency that nearly wrecked me. One of the most powerful antidotes to kidney stones and one of the most underrated prevention tools out there is magnesium, period. If your magnesium tank is bone dry, your body ends up with this dangerous equation where calcium piles up and glues itself to oxalates, and boom, you have a screaming kidney stone. And here is something most people never hear. Your body actually manufactures oxalates on its own. It is not only the spinach, the kale, the almonds, the chocolate. Your own cells cook up this junk when magnesium is missing. My story, I had a meaty kidney stone. At the time, I was not even eating mountains of spinach. I was just absolutely, completely, embarrassingly deficient in magnesium. I rarely swallowed a magnesium pill through my entire life. Magnesium is the great wall that keeps calcium from clumping into stones. And once I started loading up, the magic happened for me, and it absolutely can work for you. It can shrink a stone that is just beginning, and it can flat out prevent new ones from ever forming. But the stone story is just the headline. The real damage showed up in my muscles. Magnesium is the king of muscle relaxation, and it is the referee that keeps calcium in line. Take away the magnesium and calcium runs wild, and you get non-stop contractions. I had Charlie horses that locked up my calves in the middle of the night. I had cramps that punished me for no good reason. And for years, I wrestled with brutal insomnia and bottomless fatigue, all because my magnesium tank was on empty. And by the way, I was also starving myself of vitamin D. So my body was basically crying out from 2 different directions at once. There is also this quiet little ancestral truth hiding in plain sight. Way, way, way back in the day, our grandparents drank water straight out of mineral-rich wells, and that water was loaded with magnesium, especially the deep well water. Then modern plumbing rolled in, city water treatment stripped the magnesium right out, and suddenly an entire civilization slid into quiet deficiency without anyone noticing. That is one of the silent, underappreciated reasons so many people today walk around magnesium starved. Listen, I have something special tucked away for you, and it is 100% free. It is a clean, simple, daily routine checklist, the exact playbook I follow every single morning and night to feel like I am 18 years old, even though my driver's license says 60. There is a little link sitting right under this video. Tap it, grab it, use it, watch your life change. And now that I have walked you through all 7 of my beautiful disasters and the fixes that rebuilt me from the inside out, let us flip the page and talk about what you should actually be putting on your plate every single day. The most powerful, life-changing foods that anchor everything I just taught you. I parked all of that insider info in the next video waiting for you right here. Go click it, and let's take this rocket ship to the moon together.